So I just did an in-plan Roth conversion inside my TSP for $500, and I did it on purpose as a test. And today I'll show you exactly how I did it, step by step, and more importantly, what you need to watch out for so you don't accidentally trigger a massive tax bill. And here's a little background so you know where I'm coming from, whether you're a federal employee or a service member. I retired from the Air Force in 2025 after 20 years, and I still have a traditional TSP along with tax-exempt combat zone contributions from my early years back when I was deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. Roth TSP did not even exist back then, so that's how long ago I had my TSP and I still have it. Now, that background matters because it directly affects how Roth conversions work and how they're taxed. So let me walk you through how this conversion actually works and how to calculate the taxes for your own situation. And just to be clear, before you do any Roth conversions, you should always talk with a local tax professional. And if you're not being careful, this move can easily cost you thousands, sometimes even tens of thousands of dollars in unexpected taxes. So with that said, let's get right into it. The first thing you need to do is log into your TSP account on tsp.gov. And once you're logged in, click on Convert to Roth in the top navigation menu. Now, here's what you need to know. You're eligible to do a Roth in-plan conversion if you have a vested traditional balance in your TSP account. And this option is available to all TSP participants, whether you're an active participant like current federal civilian employees and uniformed services members, separated and retired participants like me, or spousal beneficiary participants. And I also have to emphasize that non-spouse beneficiaries are not eligible. Now, the minimum amount for a Roth in-plan conversion is $500, and there's no maximum limit. But the size of your conversion matters because it adds to your taxable income for the year in 2026. Keep in mind that a large conversion could raise your tax rate and increase your overall tax bill. So once you click on Convert to Roth, you will land on the main conversion page showing a diagram of how money moves from your traditional balance to your Roth balance. For both service members and federal employees, this process is the same, but what's inside your accounts might be different. Federal employees with FERS will have traditional contributions such as agency automatic 1% contributions and agency matching contributions. Uniformed service members under BRS or the blended retirement system will have similar components called service automatic 1% contributions and service matching contributions. Some service members might also have tax-exempt contributions like me from deployments to combat zones. In fact, I've got some of the myself from my deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan way back in the days. Now, on the right side of this page, you will see a link to the Roth in-plan conversion calculator. And I'm telling you right now, use that calculator. It helps you understand how converting traditional money to Roth money may affect your taxes. I'm gonna make a separate video about it in the future, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't done it already. But anyway, you will enter details like the amount you plan to convert, your expected investment growth, and your current and future tax rates. The calculator gives you a side-by-side comparison of potential outcomes. And this is crucial because you need to know where you stand on the federal and state marginal tax rates. So use it, don't skip the step. It helps you see where you currently sit in the federal and state marginal tax rates. Now, for my test, I just put in $500, and it's a small amount, but enough to trigger the process. And I don't have a Roth TSP in my military TSP. I should have done Roth back then, but honestly, I have been doing Roth with my 401k for my business because I was under the Legacy Retirement System, or LRS, which did not come with the employer match. And for this military TSP, I wanted to see how the conversion process works firsthand. And this footnote is basically a heads up that the amount you choose to convert is not always the exact dollar amount that goes through. And if you select a specific dollar amount or percentage, market movement can cause small changes before the conversion actually settles, and TSP will use the nearest available amount when the transaction processes. In short, the number you enter is an estimate, and the final conversion amount is locked in based on the account balance at the next market close. Now, take a look at this tax summary because you're going to see something that looks a bit weird. Like in this case, it says $14.63 in tax credit. And don't go thinking the IRS is feeling generous all of a sudden. They definitely are not. The credit appears because a small slice of that $500 I moved was actually part of my tax-exempt combat zone balance. And since that money was earned while I was deployed and was never taxed to begin with, I don't owe any federal income tax on it now. And the system labels it as a credit in the summary to show that this specific portion is being removed from the taxable total of the conversion. And it's just the math working in your favor for once, and ensuring that you're not paying the government for the time you spent downrange when you already earned that money tax-free. Now, when you click on the amount available button to see how much you can convert, you will see your account balance broken down by contribution type. And this is where things get interesting because of how the conversion works proportionally. TSP tracks how money entered your account and groups contributions and earnings by their sources. When you choose an amount to convert, the money will be taken proportionally from your eligible sources, such as your own traditional payroll contributions and their earnings, tax-exempt contributions from combat zones if you have them, agency or service matching contributions, agency or service automatic 1% contributions if they're vested, and traditional rollover contributions if you have them. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the pro rata or proportional rule, because this is where people get confused and angry at the same time. Imagine you have a TSP balance of $40,000, and let's break it down. $5,000 in the 1% automatic contribution, $10,000 in agency matching, $5,000 in tax-exempt combat zone money, and $20,000 that you put in yourself. And if you decide to convert $10,000 to Roth, you cannot just say, hey, TSP, take only the tax-exempt money first. I wish it worked that way, but the IRS is smarter than that, and they use the proportional rule. This means your conversion will pull a little bit from every bucket of your traditional balance, and in this scenario, about 12.5% of whatever you convert would be tax exempt and the rest would be taxable. You have to account for this because it changes how much you're going to owe when tax season rolls around. And how did I get 12.5%? So when you divide $5,000 in tax exempt combat zone balance by the total traditional TSP balance of $40,000, it's going to give you 12.5%. So in this scenario, every dollar I convert, 12.5% of that dollar is not going to be taxed. That makes sense so far, right? Now, this page is basically the fine print checkpoint before you can move forward with the Roth conversion. It's the payment rights notice, and where TSP is legally required to show you all the rules, tax notices, and payment options tied to what you're about to do. Most of it is expandable sections that explains things like tax withholding, Roth versus non-Roth payments, and your right to take time up to 30 days to review everything before proceeding. And nothing fancy happens here. You're just acknowledging that you have seen and understand the information. And once you check the acknowledgement box and hit continue, you're officially telling TSP, yep, I've read this and let's keep going. And speaking of taxes, it's time we talk real numbers. This is the part where people usually go pale. And let's say you're in the 22% federal tax bracket and your state takes another 5%. If you convert that $500 I did, you're looking at about $135 in taxes. No big deal, right? Well, sort of. You probably spent more than that on dinner in Vegas. But what if you convert $10,000? Now you're looking at a $2,700 tax bill. And if you're going big and convert $50,000, you just handed the IRS and the state government a total tax bill of $13,500. And here's the thing. You cannot use your TSP money to pay that tax bill. You have to have that cash sitting in a bank account ready to go. If you convert $50,000 and don't have $13,000 in savings to pay the IRS, you're going to be in a world of hurt. The TSP will move the full $50,000 into the Roth side, and then they will send a tax form to the IRS saying you earned an extra $50,000 this year. Now, this page is where TSP breaks down how much of your Roth conversion is actually taxable and helps you estimate what you will owe in federal taxes. You can see the total amount you converted, any portion that's non-taxable like tax-exempt combat zone contributions, and then the final taxable amount that counts towards your income for the year. TSP does not automatically withhold taxes for an in-plan Roth conversion, so it's on you to plan ahead and pay those taxes separately, usually by setting aside cash, making an estimated tax payment to the IRS, or adjusting your tax withholding elsewhere like your current W-2 job. Before you submit, you are acknowledging the tax impact, that this conversion cannot be reversed, and that any taxes owed will be handled outside of TSP. And once you hit submit, the conversion is locked in. Now, I want to show you another screen. It's the breakdown between traditional and tax-exempt TSP when you click on contribution details. And this is mostly for my fellow veterans under the legacy retirement system. And I'm going to show you guys the federal employees one in a second. And if you have that combat zone pay, it's like gold. It's already been taxed, or rather it was never taxed. So converting it to Roth is a no-brainer because you won't owe federal income tax on the principal. But because of the proportional rule we talked about, you have to be careful about how much traditional taxable money you're dragging along with it. This is purely for your education, and every account looks different. Don't assume your buddy's tax bill will be the same as yours just because you both served in the same unit. Next, I'm looking at a sample screen right now that shows the breakdown for a typical federal employee. It shows the traditional balance, the Roth balance, and then those specific subcategories like the auto 1% and the match. In the 2025 update, the TSP finally made this clear. You can see exactly how much is sitting in the traditional match bucket. And when you do your conversion, remember that the proportional rule still applies within those sources. And the good news is that you don't have to worry about this conversion eating into your annual contribution limits, because moving money from traditional to Roth does not count towards that $24,500 limit for 2026 or the extra catch-up contribution limits. And you're also allowed to do up to 26 Roth in-plan conversions per calendar year. And if you have more than one TSP account, this limits applies to each account separately. And for example, if you have both a civilian TSP and a uniform services TSP, you can complete up to 26 conversions in each account. And another thing you need to know is that each Roth in-plan conversion is treated as its own standalone transaction. And there's no option to automate this or set up recurring conversions, so you have to initiate each one manually. Another plus is that spousal consent is not required to complete a Roth in-plan conversion, which makes the process a bit simpler. However, please have that discussion with your spouse that you're expecting a tax bill for the Roth conversion. You definitely don't want to surprise your husband or your wife, right? And one more important rule to be aware of is required minimum distributions. If you're subject to RMDs, you must first withdraw and receive your full RMD for the year before doing any Roth in-plan conversion. The IRS does not allow RMD amounts to be converted, so you cannot use a conversion to satisfy that requirement. And finally, mutual fund window investments are not eligible for direct conversion. You can only convert money that's invested in the core TSP funds, like CSIGNF funds or life cycle funds. If your money is currently in the mutual fund window, you will need to sell those holdings and transfer the proceeds back into one or more TSP funds before you can request a Roth in-plan conversion. Now, with everything that's been discussed, let's talk about whether you should actually do a Roth in-plan conversion. This depends on your situation. First, consider your current taxes and income. How will it affect my taxable income for the year? How much income tax will I need to pay? And will this conversion raise my marginal tax rate? Do I have enough money to pay the income tax in my cash account? If you convert to Roth and then cannot afford the taxes, or if the conversion pushes you into a higher tax bracket, the IRS penalties or higher tax rate could outweigh the future benefits. And next, consider your future tax rates and income. The biggest unknown is what your tax rate will be later compared to now. And if your tax rate is higher later, converting to Roth now means paying taxes at today's lower tax rate. If your tax rate is lower later, converting now could cost more than leaving your money in your traditional balance. Some people choose to do Roth conversions after they retire during years when they have less income and a lower tax rate. Bottom line, spreading conversions over several years and a lower tax bracket can mean paying less taxes overall. But this isn't just a tax rate conversation. You also have to think about where your income is coming from in retirement. If you plan to keep working while you're pulling money from your TSP, your taxable income must stay pretty high. Then stack on other income sources like a pension or Social Security or military pension, and suddenly you're pushed into a higher tax bracket than you expected. Money coming out of a traditional TSP is taxed as ordinary income every time you withdraw it, while Roth withdrawals can be completely tax-free as long as you meet the IRS rules. And don't forget about required minimum distributions. If you have a large traditional TSP balance, the IRS will eventually force you to take withdrawals like the RMDs, whether you need the money or not. And that all counts as taxable income. Now, Roth balances, on the other hand, are not subject to RMDs during your lifetime, which gives you a lot more flexibility and control. Now, income can also affect benefits like IRMA, the income-related monthly adjustment amount, which is a surcharge on Medicare premiums. If you expect your income in retirement to be high, converting to Roth before IRMA applies could save you from paying higher premiums. And think about your spending needs too. If you plan to make large withdrawals, some years for travel or major expenses, those withdrawals from a traditional balance will be taxed as income. On top of that, your plans for leaving money to others matter too. And if you want your beneficiaries to receive money tax-free, a Roth balance can provide a benefit. And on the other hand, if your beneficiaries will be in a lower tax bracket than you are now, leaving money in traditional could mean they pay less tax. And if you plan to leave money to a nonprofit, taxes may not matter at all since qualified charities don't pay income tax on inherited funds. And you should also consider the time until you start withdrawals. Just to be clear, there are two separate 5-year rules that apply to Roth in-plan conversions. The first applies only the earnings in your Roth TSP balance and determines whether you can withdraw those earnings tax-free. Roth earnings become qualified and can be withdrawn tax-free when 5 years have passed since January 1st of the calendar year in which you made your first Roth TSP contribution or conversion, and you've reached age 59.5 and have a permanent disability or are deceased. The second 5-year rule applies only to money you convert. Each Roth in-plan conversion starts a 5-year clock that begins on January 1st of the year of each conversion. If you make a withdrawal that includes money you converted within 5 years, you must pay a 10% early withdrawal penalty tax unless an exception applies, such as being age 59.5 or older. If you're 59.5 or older and your Roth TSP balance is at least 5 years old, you meet the IRS requirements for both rules. That means you can make withdrawals from your Roth TSP balance tax-free and penalty-free. So when and how do you pay those taxes? Well, you don't pay them the moment you click convert. The TSP does not withhold taxes for in-plan conversions. Instead, that amount is added to your gross income for the year 2026. You will deal with it when you file your taxes in early 2027. However, if you're converting a large amount, you might want to look into making estimated tax payments to the IRS and your state throughout the year. And if you wait until April to pay something like a $15,000 tax bill, the IRS might hit you with an underpayment penalty. It's like the waiter bringing the bill at the end of the night. You knew it was coming, but it still stings if you don't check the prices before ordering the steak. So the bottom line is that the TSP Roth in-plan conversion feature is a powerful tool, but it's only powerful if you use it correctly. I tested it with $500 and it was pretty smooth, but it was a calculated move. You need to know your vesting status, understand the tax hit you're going to take, plan for how you're going to pay those taxes from your savings, and respect those 5-year rules so you don't get burned down the road. If you do this right, you're setting yourself up for a whole lot of tax-free money in retirement. And that's worth taking the time to understand. This 2026 update is a game changer for those of us who want to maximize our Roth holdings. Just don't go clicking buttons without a plan. And this has been another beast of a video and we got a lot out of it.